Hello, and welcome back to Unbeatable. This is the series where I build weird and wacky cars and attempt to beat the unbeatable AI in Forza Horizon 5. Today I have something a little more exotic than last time, with the Bugatti EB110. Now, this is a car I actually quite like, as I remember finding it in a barn all the way back in the first Forza Horizon. And this being one of the fastest you could get from barn finds, it became a bit of a go-to car in that game, at least for S-Class. This was a time before you got showered with sports, super, and even hypercars. So a car like this that you got for free was quite useful. This is also a car born out of a revived Bugatti, chasing after the top speed record. But like all modern Bugattis are, quite famously four-wheel drive. So I'm here to change that. Now, as much as I'd like to make this front-wheel drive, unfortunately Forza doesn't allow me to do it. So I shall have to settle for rear-wheel drive. This will still pose some challenges though, as the car is set up for four-wheel drive, so it will be balanced in such a way. And the rear wheels weren't really designed for as much power as I hope to be using. However, I will want some grip, so first, to make it rear-wheel drive. Now you can do this to all four-wheel drives in the game. This is just one I chose. So, being an S-Class, I'd probably want slick tyres, at least for circuit racing. And 395 is actually really big, so I may not win as big as that. I was not quite expecting that big of tyres. Look at them! They're huge! Anyway, I might just put 345s on. But yeah, out on the front it's a bit smaller, but it's still pretty damn big. I might just upgrade to... Now I could put 285s on the front and give it a bit more grip. Brake suspension will be almost essential, and I'll probably just take the weight out of it, getting rid of some of the negatives of using a Bugatti. Granted, this isn't as heavy as the Veyron or the Chiron, but it's also not known for being Lotus-like, really. Not known for being the lightest vehicle out there. So, try and put some power in it, as, again, not necessarily something you would want to do in a Bugatti, but this just doesn't quite have the power of something like Veyron that I'm comparing it to. So, I reckon just add more. I'm rather worried that it's not adding a lot of PI, adding this power, but it is not a lot of power it's adding. I guess there is only so much you can do to a 90s engine to make it more powerful, really. So we are close to the maximum amount of power. I reckon, yeah, widening the tyres as much as possible. So it's actually 365s in the rear, which are pretty damn big. However, I haven't really gone for aero. So we should have a look, but I can only do front aero, which one, increases the PI too much, and two, will likely make the balance of the car a bit strange, as you would want rear aero with front aero. mainly because it would just cause strange driving characteristics. Now, let's put in a race diff. I believe when you change drive lines, it will change your gearbox options, all these drivetrain options. So I reckon the standard will be fine, as it won't be a 90s diff. Which, to be honest, probably isn't too bad. It's mainly something like the 70s. But I just put that in just so it opens the option for tuning. And it guarantees that it will be a good diff. But that is the build done rather quickly. I suppose it starts in S1 class, and that was my aim. So there weren't too much to do, apart from maxing the engine apparently. However, I shall be off to tuning. I shall see you at the race. So, here we are at a circuit I'm not even going to attempt to name. Unfortunately, I never took Spanish in school. I decided to do German and French instead. But this is a reasonably twisty circuit, as the Trans Am takes a strange line through that corner. And there is a bit of straight line at the top, but I suppose it is one of the more twisty circuits that I've chosen here. It's kind of useful we've got slick tyres, although they do slide a smidge. I also got something slightly wrong in the, thank you Ford, in the upgrades bit, as the standard rear wing counts as adjustable aero, so it does provide downforce, which isn't the most common thing in these games. Bit of an awkward pass past that Ford, as we try and chase down the Ferrari that's equally charging for a field like me, provided I don't hit that wall and completely miss my braking point for turn 1. Going as it goes slow through this next section, try and duck and leaf, but can't quite do it. Not quite in the right position. Bit of understeer, which would be common in a 4-wheel drive, which is kind of what I meant by its setup for 4-wheel drive. They do tend to understeer more, whereas rear-wheel drives almost exclusively oversteer if they have a problem with grip. And this is doing a bit of both, really. Just can't quite get past this Ferrari. Keep going into these corners, getting really close up to it, but losing out on these straights, really hampering my progress up through the field as we dive past that 959 that has a bit of an awkward line. Ferrari goes slow though. I take the opportunity, bump it as it goes past. Nice bit of oversteer. Not really what we wanted there. As I go too high to get through that previous section. Nice section through there, but the hairpin doesn't help. And now the Ferraris dive down the inside, trying to get the place back, but I deny it. Hanging around the outside and get a better line through the next corner. Simply outturn that drift car, going around the outside of this RX-8. It cuts underneath. Didn't quite mean to go for its rear corner, as we try and have a power battle, but the RX-8 wins rotary power, I guess. Might have the 4 rotor from the 787B. That's not in the game. Don't know where it's from. 4 rotor racing, which should give it a lot of power, but I just outturn it with these slick tyres. Unfortunately, we are in lap 4, and I'm a long way behind first. Getting through that field proved fairly tough, especially with this bit of oversteer. Now, it could be worse. This oversteer is fairly tame, as the tyres are very big indeed, but it's through most of these corners may have to increase the rear downforce, which will help to quell this oversteer during mid-corner, as the downforce will work during medium and high speeds, just giving increased grip in the rear. Now I could explain why, but I'm not intending to bore you all to death. So try and focus through this section. I don't believe I should do it though. Try and get different line, just experiment a smidge through these corners. Now that works. Third gear around the hairpin. Now it'll work as long as I don't go off track during this section. It's really struggling with a rear end grip. Try and bit of a slide through there. More for style points, as we're not going to do it. So far behind. The last lap was my fastest lap. Mainly just because I didn't have any traffic in front of me. I'll have to try and get past that Ferrari. Hang on. First place was in an Extreme E vehicle. It seems someone else, or the AI I should say, have gone for an Unbeatable challenge themselves. It's a rather strange car to be driving around a circuit. Perhaps a future idea. However, I shall give this another go. See if we can beat the AI. So, here we are for a second attempt at this. Now, my aim is going to be get past that Ferrari as soon as possible, essentially. Hopefully we can make a couple of mistakes, like getting stuck behind that Ford. Just can't quite get round it anywhere there. Leave it and fall through that section. It's quite good gear to do that in. What I have forgotten to do is increase the rear downforce. So as you'll see if this works, as going on the grass a bit helped me there, just to get the right line, get past that Ferrari, which is my main aim. It's now just getting through the gaggle of vehicles ahead. Don't you dare. As that Ferrari had quite a dive down the inside. The AI do some strange maneuvers as they are proving ahead. Just to slide through this section has got the line slightly wrong. Now, this 959 was not as fast last time around, as proved there again. However, the Extreme E vehicle hasn't really got away. I suppose the electric torque may help that just through these short acceleration zones. Don't know what tyres you can get on that. Obviously off-road tyres, but I don't know if you can get racing slicks or anything. I doubt it, but I shall have to experiment with that, see what I can do. But get you through here. Definitely works well enough, as long as I get a bit of throttle control. As we actually get that section really well and gain a ton of time on the car's head, getting past the RX-8 in the next corner. Now just a Formula Drift car and an Extreme E vehicle. Yep, that's the race that I'm currently in, as simply dive down the inside of our Extreme, not the Extreme E vehicle, the Formula Drift car, getting a bit of sliding through these sections. I really don't think that Extreme E vehicle has as much grip as this car, as I had it all wrong through that section, letting the two cars get past. That was bad. The poor driving by me, poor driving. No, don't want to go down a gear there. That would just unsettle the car mid-corner. Doing a few rookie errors through here. Just trying to push it a bit too hard. Trying to catch up. Despite all the limitations that Extreme E vehicle must have, it is quite fast around here. Bit strange, but hey ho, it's Forza. What else can you expect? As we have a little nick into the RX-8, it powers away, maybe only 4 through that section. Goes very wide for the next bit, but that gives it a good run onto this next section here as I get a bit wobbly over suspension through that bit. Just trying so hard to get past these vehicles. Me and this RX-8, despite fighting ourselves, are catching up to the front two. I think that Extreme E vehicle isn't as fast as the Formula Drift. As I've got to watch out for RX-8 trying to do a dive, but it can't do it. As we have now passed the RX-8, but on the last lap, can we do anything about these 2 cars ahead? The Extreme E has a bit of a slide, is slow through this section, getting a lot closer. What are you doing, Formula Drift car? Down to 3rd. The Extreme E vehicle gets on power wrong time. I get past the Formula Drift, right on the tail of the Extreme E. Can we get past it? It goes so slow through that section. We're past. Just got to keep it around this last section. And we may have done it. My goodness, that was tense. I wasn't expecting to get past that at all. After the big slide in lap 3, I just lost so much time. I lost 2 positions. It really had to be on it during that last attempt, as the Formula Drift car also got past the Extreme E. It just lacks some grip. It's got so much acceleration, that Extreme E car, it just lacks some grip, which this EB110 has quite a lot of, actually. But yeah, so that is 1 win out of 2. So a final go to see what I can do next time round. So here we are for final attempt. After that exciting end to the last race, this proves doable. Again, I say again, this EB110 does struggle a smidge with oversteer. And at times understeer. It's a bit awkward to drive at times, but can prove very fast indeed. Granted, this is not the typical field. It's because the AIs just take weird cars of their own sometimes. But it would not be the typical field online racing. But if you get this car right, it drives beautifully. If you are just on it, and you have to be on it, but if you are on it, this car is very nice indeed. As we're already past the RX-8 after the first lap, and the Formula Drift car has got past the Extreme E. Don't know if that should pose some problems trying to fight the cars ahead, as the Formula Drift car just seems to be a bit faster, as I have a big kick of oversteer during that section. Lose a bit of concentration. It's very good through here though. The slick tyres prove very good around here. Very nice indeed. It's almost essential, I would say, for S1 circuit racing. It'd have to be a strange build to not require them. Something like the Supervan may be able to do it, but that car itself is very twitchy and very difficult to drive, as you can't really get forward drive within S1, I believe. Haven't built it for a while, but not sure. As we start to close into Extreme E vehicle, sort of stagnated through the second and third lap, but slowly catching, go very deep into that section. Try and not spin it. I lost a lot of time there. This could prove tough now. Another bit of driver error. But we saw what happened last time around. Anything's really possible. Even the AI can make mistakes, either that or some rubber banding, which may be a bit of an insult to my driving, but apparently it may be quite deserved. As we are further away than this time last lap, that extreme vehicle really does struggle through these sections. I think it gains a lot of its time just off its hairpin, really. Most of the rest of the circuit is a bit grip limited and is mainly reasonably fast corners. Not really much of a straight round here. Get it too deep through this section, it just doesn't want to play nicely. Bugatti just shows you what can happen and what difficult cars can pose. What challenges they can give drivers. It just slides this time. I'm just hemorrhaging time. The 959 is catching up, which for a car that's just been nowhere the previous two races, it's fairly surprising, but I suppose it might be more useful with the four-wheel drive setup from that 959. So I might have to watch out through this traction zone out of the hairpin. Although the slick tyres making this car not too bad through that section. Really just struggled this race, fought the car too much. A decent bit of driver error, I'll admit. However, we've not completed it third time round. Well, we've had quite a showcase in racing today, as the third go round proved very difficult. So today was a bit of an example of three forms of driving. The style I'm going to call underdriving, where you are driving below the limit of the car. This is shown in the first race, as I was learning how the EB110 will behave as a real drive car. And this can be quite an important part of racing, as you learn where you can push the car around a lap. The second race resembles driving closer to the limit of the car. Most of the time, as there were a few moments of driver error. But I did manage to find my way past the Extreme E car and at least complete the challenge once. However, for the third race, I tended to overdrive the car. We are driving a bit too fast for the car, going too fast into corners, getting on the power too early, trying to drive further than the grip will allow. However, the EB110 drove pretty well in the end, which the large slick tyres were a big part of why. It did oversteer at times, but you can't expect much else from 700 horsepower. This is also due to the EB110 itself, as out the Veyron or the Chiron do the same. They do have quite a bit more power, granted, but it just seemed to drive very well. Hope you have enjoyed this experiment. Don't forget to comment what other build you would like to see in this series. And I shall see you next time. Have fun. Also, Koenigseggs are better than Bugattis.